How's it going, everybody, and welcome back once again. I'm Dean for My Progress, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of having a mentor in your academic journey. So before we jump into the video, as always, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let me know in the comment section below, who is your mentor? Give them a shout out. What have they done to inspire you on your academic journey? So the reason I wanted to talk to you about this today is people think that academia is a very isolating situation, which to the most part, it is. If you're doing your PhD, you're focusing 3-4 years of your life on a particular topic that you are the only person who is looking at that very specific dimension. There's going to be lots of times when you want to reach out for help and you don't know exactly who to go to. And equally, there's going to be lots of questions to be answered. And you're the one who's supposed to be developing this expertise and being the known name in this area. And so the importance of having somebody to go to, a mentor who might not know exactly how to answer your question, but who can coach you and guide you towards you finding out the answer to that question, is pivotal. When I think back at my time in academia, I've had two really standout names who have shaped and manipulated the way that I go about not only finding out my own information, but dealing with other individuals and institutions. One of which was during my PhD. They were my supervisor, they were my mentor. They really structured the way in which I would develop my knowledge and develop my research. Yes, at the end of my PhD, I didn't learn everything that I wanted to know. My research wasn't perfect, but they shaped the attitude that I needed to really become the academic and researcher that I am. The second individual in my postdoc, they were a lot more hands-off in terms of the research, but their knowledge was exceptional. They were able to depict exactly where I needed to be at the end of the week, at the end of 3-6 months, a year. And they gave me that support, not only in terms of emotional support, but in terms of resources and also opportunities to really strive to do my best. And I'll be forever thankful for them. So in this video, I'm going to be highlighting the top 5 things that you should be looking for in a mentor to help progress your academic journey. For me, in the number 1 spot is that research portfolio. Now, this research doesn't have to be directly involved in your area. It can be a completely different subject, but you need to make sure that the individual who you're going to be looking up for in terms of developing that research portfolio of your own knows how to do research. Not only do they know how to do research, but they know how to do really well structured, detailed, and applicable research. These are individuals that definitely know how to turn an idea into impact, and as such have the huge potential to drive that motivation and passion for you yourself. I think a lot of time as early career academics, we have these visions, we know where we want to be in life, but actually we don't know how to get there. We don't know how to turn this research design into an intervention which is helping thousands of people every year across the globe. But if you can find somebody who has a track history of doing that, that is going to be really beneficial. Additionally, if this individual has a track record of getting research grant funding, that can only benefit you. Yes, perhaps you might not see any of that funding during your mentorship. However, being able to be taught these skills in order for you to get that research funding yourself will be pivotal, not only for your time within academia and the PhD now, but as you look to become a PI in your own right further down the line. Moving on to number 2, which for me is the most essential thing we need to be looking out for, is the fact that you need to be able to get on with this individual. If there's any sort of barriers, anything that puts a stop in the way of you fully engaging with this individual's advice, be it something to do with that person's personality or a rift between the two of you, that's ultimately going to be detrimental to your growth. Yes, of course, we can learn things from people that we respect, but who actually we don't get on with. But a mentorship, this is really personal, it's really detailed. You need to be able to open up to these individuals. And if there are barriers there, that's ultimately going to inhibit your development. When I look back and think about the people who have mentored me and the people that I mentor, I've always had this really strong relationship, friendship, bond with these individuals, which has helped me to be honest and open. And I think ultimately it's going to be detrimental to you if you can't forge that. And also we know from the psychology literature that if we do have a close relationship with somebody, they're going to be more open to helping us. And they're going to be more likely to facilitate opportunities for us to grow. I find myself reflecting now on one of my PhD students' journeys where they had a great opportunity to engage with somebody from a great, fantastic university. However, when they sat down with them, the vibe just wasn't there. They didn't click. Now, as an early career researcher or a current or future PhD student, if you and your supervisor don't click, your director of studies, you don't have that good relationship, then how are you going to be able to go to them in times of needs? How are you going to be able to open up to them about the daily stresses? And I often wonder whether not fully vetting these relationships with the supervisor package might be one of the contributors to PhD students' poor mental well-being. They feel like they can't go to these individuals. They feel like they can't open up. And if the PhD journey is quite isolating already because you're the one who's becoming an expert in your field, then actually who are you talking to? If you don't have this tribe, if you don't have this strong relationship with your peers, then ultimately we need to ask who is going to be giving you that support that you need and deserve. The third point for me is the social standing of your mentor within their institution. Now, this is quite a reflection as I look at individuals who I've seen had PhD supervisors along the way in both mine and other individuals' academic journeys. And it's quite interesting to see how even after you finished your PhD, you're oftentimes known as Professor Y's student or Dr. X's student. And if your supervisor, if your senior academic doesn't have a very strong social standing within that institution, then that could in some way perhaps act as a bit of a stopgap for the opportunities that you might be given. An example of this is if your senior academic is a highly regarded professor and they oftentimes give speeches both in the department and also outside of the department, maybe university wide or maybe for some charities or maybe in the general population, then there's a great chance that you'll actually be invited to attend those. You can either take part or you can sit in the background, but you'll be there, you'll be gaining that experience. If your senior academic does not have those social bonds or that social standing, then actually we might be thinking of, is this equitable across all PhD students? Is this comparable across all early career researchers, some of whom are given these great opportunities, others of which are not? And I think that in terms of your PhD program, yes, it is an individualized program where you're going to have opportunities that other people don't. However, it can be quite offsetting and imbalanced that some individuals seem to have all of the luck. And perhaps some of that luck might be attributed to their choices of academics. Now, I know as an early career researcher, I didn't put any thought into this at all. And that's why I'm offering this to you now as a retrospective observation, because from my experience, it is true. And I'll be very interested to know in the comments down below if that's something that other academics have picked up on as well. Now, obviously, as a student, you can't just reach out to say, have you got good social standing in your institution? Look at the newsletters, look at the bulletins that are being put out. Is your individual named in any of those news stories? Because that can be really beneficial for you from the outset. My fourth tip in terms of looking out for a mentor is finding somebody who's not a yes person. Now, as an early career academic, when I was mentoring students, I was always saying yes to them. I always wanted to push them as much as possible. I didn't always know the answers, so I was saying, yes, you go and find that out. Yes, you go and find that out, because I had a genuine interest and I just wanted to facilitate their success. But now I'm looking back retrospectively, actually, that could have been quite detrimental for me and also the students. When I'm mentoring individuals, I take more of a critical eye. I don't always want to say yes to students. I want to challenge them in terms of why they're doing that. Why are these the choices and decisions that they're making? Because actually, if they put the effort and time in when they've designed an idea, when they've designed a project, and I'm being picky and critical and tearing it apart in places, that's ultimately going to make their research better. Because even if I'm wrong and actually they can argue to me, actually, Dean, I'm doing this because of this reason, or I did consider that, but actually ultimately I've decided to go down this avenue, then that's perfectly fine. I've learned something, and what they've learned is the ability to stand up for themselves and defend their ideas. Too many times I see students get to their Viva and then they cram up. They feel, actually, I've never been challenged in this way about my research before. I've always had a team that have said, yes, this is great. Yes, this is great. But they've never asked, it might be great, but why do you think it's great? And why should other people think the idea is fantastic as well? And so what you're doing by being critical in those circumstances is helping you to be more prepared to defend your work within that viva. And my final and fifth tip for how to choose that perfect mentor and how to prepare yourself for mentorship is to not compare yourself to other people's mentors. Now, this is really important. I've seen on a few occasions throughout my time in academia that students at both master's and PhD level have had conversations in terms of, oh, I wish I had your mentor, or I wish I had your supervisor, because they're helping you in this way, they're helping you in that way. And yes, it can be really typical and common for us to always be looking on the other side of that fence. The grass is always greener. Oh, I wish I had this opportunity. I wish I had that opportunity. But all the time that we're having that and looking at the other side of the fence, it's stopping us from having those conversations about, how do I do this? What's the mechanism for me engaging in something like this? Have you got any connections to help me do this? And if not, can we work together for me to take part in an activity such as X, Y, and Z? And it can also stop us from being able to really appreciate and understand the core help that our mentor and supervisor is giving us that perhaps other people are not. Now, we know from the social media literature that when you're outwardly talking about some of the successes in your life, perhaps you're not showcasing some of those negative elements. You're not showcasing the many times that your supervisor did not get back to you within 2 or 3 days. You're not showcasing the times that your supervisor said no to you about certain things that you were really passionate about. But as an outside viewer, we're only seeing all of these great positives and successes. And we need to be retrospective in seeing how well we're working with our supervisor and some of the great traits that our supervisors and mentors have that perhaps other supervisors do not have. So that's my 5 tips on what to look out for when choosing your perfect mentor or supervisor. And hopefully these steps are going to be applicable at any level of your academic career. Remember, we should always be looking up to people who are working above our pay grade. We need to be learning from them and learning from all of the great mistakes that they've made in the past, which ultimately now smooths the way for our success. If you've liked this video in the series, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and down below, let me know about your mentor. If you have any success stories to share, make sure to let us know who shaped your career in the comment section down below. So until next time, I've been Dean for My Progress. Lovely to speak to you guys as always, and I will catch you in the next video.